Hi, very good morning to you. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Sadly, guys, I have no pleasure in saying, "Oh, I told you so." I told you only a week or two ago that there was something deeply wrong taking place with the world economy, and I was right. You know, when you have four chancellors of the exchequer, people that manage the British economy and its books, resign in 2 months, and you have 3 prime ministers in 1 year, there is something up. We got the guy here who runs the Bank of England, and guess what word he's using? You guessed it, Armageddon. What happened yesterday in the UK is only what's going to happen anyhow on the world markets. The interest rates are going to go up everywhere because the global economic system is suffering a downturn by 1/3. Can you believe that? That is no small amount. This, as I said a few weeks ago, reflects the same period as what was experienced globally in 1929. And they're talking about a 2-year recession. It's going to be a lot longer than that. What we're looking at is not a recession. We're looking at another Great Depression, and these are not recessions. If you want to know what to expect, but times it by 10, I guarantee you, times it by at least 10, go and read your history, what happened in 1929 when the markets globally collapsed. You know, we've had people like Warren Buffett, telling us that, months ago, there's going to be an economic meltdown globally. He knew months ago this was going to happen. And the reason why he knew is because he studied the trends of what happened back in 1929, when markets rose beyond that golden number. I think 186, I think it was. And he said, we saw that number recently surpassed. And he's been telling people to expect the worst. Now, we've got the guy who runs the Bank of England using the term Armageddon. Let me tell you what happened a couple of weeks ago. And they're blaming Liz Truss for it, and it is partly her fault. But they're using her as a scapegoat now for what they've just done. Let me just put this into perspective, right? So you understand the complications of what a lot of people are going. People are going to lose their houses. People are going to starve this Christmas in a first world country, the United Kingdom, and in other countries around the world. People are going to be on the streets in the winter whilst it's -20. People with children. Elderly people. You getting the picture? These people that we have put in trust of running our country have raped it clean of its wealth. They've overprinted money and kicked a can that they can no longer kick down the road. And proof of this is 4 chancellors in just 2 months. 4 chancellors in 2 months and 3 prime ministers in 1 year. What does that tell you, guys? It tells you that there is some big problems with government. And it's not related to the UK alone. This is a global problem. These fuckers are working it out together. I don't believe that all of the governments around the world are suffering these things. They're all talking out the same pages as the hymn book. We've got to do something about climate. We've got to go all green. We've got to reach carbon net zero by a certain date. Who is going to take responsibility for the pandemic that we've just had? Because this was human beings fucking about with things they shouldn't have even been doing in a laboratory, and it got out. This was a man-made crisis, and nobody has been held accountable for it. Not one single person has gone to jail on the back of the trillions of pounds that has been spent on COVID. If that was me and you, we'd be whisked away You know what? They'd bring back hanging for us if we was responsible for causing the global economic system that much hurt. We are seeing clearly demonstrated now more than ever, guys, a two-tier system. One rule for the slaves, another one for the slave masters. You know, you feel powerless to do anything, but you can do something. You know, all those that went to COP27, that, you know, let me tell you something now. Let me just give you an analogy, right? If you own a restaurant and your chef walks out, and his commie chef walks out, and all the waiters walk out, you can't serve anyone dinner. You can't put a meal on any of those customers' tables. And this is the attitude we need to take. They cannot hold a conference like COP27 if there isn't the support staff there for that to take place. If there's no cleaners, if there's no cooks, if there's nobody to bring their fucking cup of tea to the table so that they can have these discussions, no one to set up, you know, the big screens that they need. You know, start boycotting them. You know, give them back a bit of their own medicine, because I tell you now, they've loaded your plate up with shit for the next 2, maybe 5 years. They're saying 2 years. If this guy, you know, the guy that runs the Bank of England is using the terminology Armageddon, trust me, we are in for it. You know, there are people right now, and I know this for a fact, that are listening to this, and they know they're done. With the interest rates that went up yesterday by 0.75%, and they're going to go, they've told us they're going to go up again, but that has already been the straw that broke the camel's back for them. They're going to slowly fall behind on some payments. You know, I saw middle class people yesterday on the news saying they've got no other choice now but to go to food banks. The food banks are busting at the seams already, guys. There's already not enough to go round. You know, there may be a little bit of government assistance for some people, but inflation, I mean, benefits haven't got caught up with inflation as it is at 10.1%. It mind boggles me. We've got inflation at 10.1%, which means our wages and our salaries and our monies have already lost spending power. And then on top of that, they whack up the interest rates. So we lose even more spending power. Just where do they think all this money extra is going to come from? Where do they think people are going to get it from? Nobody's putting up the wages. They've promised a double of unemployment in the next 2 years. It's going to go up to 6.5%. It will go up even higher than that, I promise you that. We've already started to see businesses fail during this pandemic over the last 3 years, since 2019, when it very first happened. Businesses have gone bankrupt because they was told they had to lock up and shut shop. Couldn't function. You know, those people that own them businesses absorbed debt to the point that they could not borrow anymore, and they was told that, and then had to go bankrupt. Still, in some circumstances, left with thousands or tens of thousands of pounds worth of debt. No help for them. They're stuffed up now for the next 8 years, not being able to get any finance, not being able to get any credit, not being able to do anything. You won't see people like this guy who runs the Bank of England going short this Christmas. This fat fuck, this pig at the trough, will have the biggest turkey on his plate, and lots of wine will be guzzled by him and his rich friends. Whilst at the same time, we've got Tiny Tim, like out of Scrooge, fucking walking round with a peg leg. Can't get even a decent meal. People have no idea about what they're about to face. You know, it is uncanny that, you know, only 4 months ago, 5 months ago, people were saying that these are end times. You can't help but feel that they are now. You've got, you know, world leaders and guys that run the Bank of England using the same words, Armageddon. You know, that's a word out of the Bible, out of end times. Describes the, the end times. We've got climatic problems on this planet running wild. And we've got these clowns, these people that have no scientific background in any geological science whatsoever, talking about reducing carbon. It's absolutely insane and hideous. You cannot fucking reduce CO2 out of our atmosphere because of the amount that is naturally put into our atmosphere through gigatons of CO2 leaking out the oceans and gigatons leaking out the landmass. When you compare the actual small amount that we put in to the atmosphere, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They have used CO2 to scam everybody in the world, and that has broken now the camel's back. They have destroyed industry. It's like, you know what it feels like? The devils was let out the cage, out of hell, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, because in the last 10 years, the world has gone down to the pits. No wonder why people are taking to the streets and saying no more. We've had enough. You're going to see a lot more people on the streets, I guarantee you that. Here's another trend that I'm going to predict, and it's going to come true. You're going to see a lot of upheaval. Crime is going to increase. Obviously, you know that. Because what do you do when you're looking at your children round the table and you can't afford to put food on their plates? Do you watch them starve? Would you do what you have to do? And I'll tell you now, we're already there. I hope that people have been listening and that they have some food storage and that they have a few amenities just in case the worst happens. Because I'll just also mention this, and this is more true than ever. You better build your community. If your community just is in the ring of your family circle, then strengthen it. But I hope you've got a bigger circle than that. I really do. Because the shit has hit the fan now. And remember, we're probably just months away now from it all getting turned upside down. Climatic meltdown we could be looking at. These fucks, I'm sure they're not even aware of what's coming. Because I think that they've drunk way too much wine. They've paid no attention to where they're steering this vehicle down the road. And it's on a collision course with an oncoming truck. And that's why I think that they have not got a clue. They are not paying attention to what's going on with the magnetic migration on this planet. They've been too busy feeding at the trough like pigs. And then what they're going to do? They're going to put it on the most vulnerable people in society, the poorest. Shame on them. Shame on them all. We should all now make this global economic system fail for what they've done, because we'll pull them down with us. Their billions and trillions won't be worth nothing without our participation in this system. Enough is enough. They make the mistakes, they ask us to pay for them. Where is the support for businesses right now? Tell me something. Interest rates have gone up. Inflation is increasing. All these two things make it really difficult for any business to thrive. And if they're looking at the GDP, no wonder why it's going down. It's because they're damaging businesses, not just in the UK, globally. So where is the investment over the last 10 years to ensure that the businesses are there so that there is a healthy GDP, and therefore employment wouldn't be at a rate of 3.5% at the moment, or 3% at the moment? It wouldn't be rising to 6.5% over the next 2 years, because they would have already taken care of one of the most important things in the GDP that feeds it, which is businesses, small businesses and startups. Where has the money been for those injected into the economy? And this is why I say we have baboons running the system. Let me tell you something. When all 4 of those chancellors of the Exchequer took up their job, they looked at the books and said, this is fucked. I'm not going to be the scapegoat for this. And one of them only lasted weeks, because he saw what was in front of him. It was the doorway to hell, and he knew he could not do anything about it. On one hand, we get Liz Truss saying we're going to have a micro budget, which is going to help the most poorest people affected by, the family living crisis due to poverty. And in the next breath, we have the governor of the Bank of England, this clown, come out and put the interest rates up. It was just lip service, just like it always is with these people. It's just lip service. It's like the manifestos. It's like Liz Truss's manifesto, broken in a record 5 weeks. If the Bank of England hadn't stepped in a couple of weeks ago, most people in the UK would have lost their pensions. They had to print up out of thin air £65 billion to inject into the pension funds. I'm telling you now, if you're waiting to collect your pension, and it's in any financial system, then you need to look at pulling it out. I'm not giving you financial advice, I'm just saying that, I saw over the last couple of weeks, people have wiped out their pension over £20,000. And if you haven't checked what's been taken out of your pension, maybe, over the next hour, course of the next hour, or maybe over this weekend that's coming, wouldn't be a bad idea for you to check actually the balance of that pension, see what it's worth, and hopefully you'll see and know what you've got to do, because if we're going into a Great Depression, the Bank of England are going to see what happened 2 weeks ago happen again. Mark my words on this, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. This was a short-term solution just to prop up the UK, just temporarily. You're going to see it happen again. They are going to take that money out of the pension funds, people's pension funds. It's gone. It might be there right now, but it's gone shortly after this point in time. So, there's your heads up. We have to do whatever we can right now to prepare for what we're about to go through. I will tell you this now. I'll promise you this, because it's right. We have got to help each other. And if you're in a position to help people more, then you've got to just do that a little bit more, and promise you this universe will reward you absolutely for that help that you give others. I'll just bring your attention, and I know some of you are not religious, some of you don't pay any attention to what is written in the book that for some reason miraculously has stayed around for thousands of years but still carried the same story. It states in that Bible that the rewards are with each and every one of us. For your good behaviours, your rewards are with you, and for your bad behaviours, likewise, the rewards are with you. And I swear to God, in my 49 years of going round this star, I have absolutely recognised the truth in that. God will be with everybody, or this universal conscious, or whatever you believe in, whoever your God is, whatever name you give your God. I guarantee you it's the same as everybody else's, but he will be with you if you do good works. We've been talking about communities working together, helping each other out for years now, and I think that time has come for us to act. You know, we have to be there for our brothers and sisters that will struggle more than, you know, some of us. Absolutely sad to be right about these things. Wish I wasn't. But when you see trends, you can't help it. You know, anyone with logic, sense, and a bit of grey matter would have saw this coming. You know, we were saying 5 years, 10 years ago, you can't just keep printing money up, because, you know, later on, the effects of that printing that money up, you know, creating wealth, you know, drives inflation up. You know, you will have to pay the price at some point. Now the time's come. You know, we should have done it back then. We would have been out of that dark days already, not just starting to go into them. This is going to be something that won't just be, you know, contained to the United Kingdom. You know, I've heard Powell has already put up interest rates over in the United States as well. So, you know, it's already starting to happen elsewhere. Okay, you know, if you're in the United States, you might be benefiting at the moment for not such hikes in your gas at the moment, like we are over in Europe. But whatever happens in Europe affects the global economy, and it will come back on your door, because it is a global system now. So you know, begin to prepare for that. It's coming. Guys, if you got anything out of this video or any other videos that we do, there's a link down there. You can help support us on PayPal or become one of our patrons. You know, I understand, you know, a lot of people can't afford to, but we might get 5,000 people watch this video over the next 24 hours. And I don't believe for a minute that, you know, 5,000 people can't afford, at least a few of you out there can't afford, you know, to chip in a few bucks. You know, I know we're helping people with this channel. I really do. And I believe that we have already saved lives. If you want to be part of anything like that, you know, support us. The rewards, I guarantee you, will be with you. I say what I usually do, you take care of your loved ones. We're in a time now where you need to do that more than ever. Guys, as always, bye for now.